This is the Sirui 40mm t1.8 autofocus anamorphic lens. As a first-time anamorphic lens user, I'm pretty excited about using this lens and seeing what it's capable of. This innovative piece of technology represents a significant milestone in democratizing the anamorphic look, and while it does have some areas for improvement, most things do, its potential is incredibly exciting, especially for creators like me who are just starting out on their anamorphic journey. Now, before we continue, full disclosure, this lens was sent to me by Sirui, but it's not sponsored, no money exchange hands. They just sent me the lens for the purpose of creating this video. I do get to keep the lens after this video is published, but all opinions are my own and they don't get to see this video before you do, so there's that. Also, let this A-roll frame serve as sample footage for your consideration. This was filmed on the 40mm autofocus anamorphic lens, and I just wanted to see what it looked like. You know, I added some lights over here to get a little bit of flare action. But yeah, this is the lens and this is what it looks like, but of course we'll have more samples as we go through the video. Now, for those unfamiliar with anamorphic lenses, as I was until recently, they create a unique cinematic look by squeezing the image horizontally, allowing for wider aspect ratios and producing distinctive characteristics like these hexagonal bokeh and horizontal lens flares. Traditionally, these lenses have been manual focus only and prohibitively expensive for most creators, making this new offering particularly appealing to beginners in the anamorphic world. Of course, the focal length is 40mm, which I think is actually ideal for most storytelling and general purpose shooting. I love 40mm. 35 sometimes feels a little bit too wide, 50 maybe too close, but 40 is just right smack dab in the middle. And I think it's a very versatile focal length. The maximum aperture is t1.8, which is really good for low light conditions and getting that nice depth of field and control and separation in the background. The anamorphic squeeze is 1.33 times, and after some of my research and watching some of the videos about this lens, I've come to find out that this is the perfect anamorphic de-squeeze for the modern 16:9 delivery formats and sensors that we have on all these new mirrorless cameras. The minimum focus distance is 0.6 meters, which is workable for most scenarios. You know, it's not ideal for extreme close-ups, but it's doable. As you can see right now, this is a decent distance away from camera for talking head and probably for any other dialogue or narrative work. The weight is a manageable 614 grams. It's lightweight enough for gimbal use, and you know, it doesn't feel like a big honking anamorphic lens in your hands. In my opinion, these specifications put this lens in a sweet spot for modern content creators, you know, balancing performance and practicality. The aperture ring provides smooth clickless operation, which is perfect for solo exposure adjustments during video recording. You can do click, but I would just leave it on declicked. The focus ring, while focused by wire, offers good resistance and precision for manual operation when it's needed, and you may need it in tricky situations. Now for what's most important, the image quality, and this is an example. I believe the center sharpness is very usable, especially when you're stopped down to t2.8. Right now I'm currently at t2.5, and I think the center sharpness is really good. When you do open it up to 1.8, it does get a little bit soft, but I think it adds to the anamorphic characteristics of this lens. When talking about bokeh, this lens does have a very distinctive hexagonal bokeh that delivers a unique signature look. You know, background elements take on a dreamy geometric quality that's, perfect for creating depth. While it is, a stylized bokeh, it may not appeal to everyone's taste, but I find that it adds an interesting character, without being too distracting. And of course, we're talking about anamorphic characteristics. You can't go without talking about flares. Now, the flares in this lens come in two different flavors, either blue or neutral. I chose the neutral version for a more classic look, and I want it to be more versatile and adopt the color of the light that it's currently, flaring. These flares add production value, in my opinion, to your footage and can be either embraced as a creative element or minimized with, proper flagging. Another anamorphic characteristic that does matter quite a bit is the distortion. Now, this does have a noticeable pincushion distortion, where I would have preferred more of a barrel distortion to, better complement the anamorphic characteristics, but distortion is distortion. It does add to the character of this lens and makes it feel more cinematic or filmic. Now let's talk about like the highlight feature or calling card of this lens. That's autofocus. This right here, what we have going on, is kind of nuts. It's the first for me. You're currently viewing me through a 40mm t1.8 autofocus anamorphic lens, and those two words together, autofocus and anamorphic, is kind of nuts. This is a 1.33x squeeze factor on a 16:9 sensor, and I think it looks pretty good. It's rated for, Super 35 sensor, but it does have full frame coverage. This is all full frame. There is slight vignetting in the corners, but I don't mind that. I think it adds to the cinematic feel of everything. I'm moving around. This is a interview style, talking head kind of deal. And I have eye autofocus. I'm looking at my camera monitor right now and it's locked onto my eye. This is pretty nuts. I'm gonna turn around. I'll know if that's in focus when I get back to my computer, but I got my eye again, so hopefully. While the current performance may not match, native spherical lenses, it's important to remember that this is first generation technology. With the inclusion of USB-C port, I'm optimistic about, future firmware updates that could significantly enhance the performance of this lens. And like I said earlier, I'm no scientist, but I can't imagine that it's easy for a camera body to talk to a lens, anticipate anamorphic characteristics or stigmatisms or, weird fringing, and it's probably a lot on the processor of the camera and also of the motors of the lens to be able to interpret what's in focus, what's out of focus, what's anamorphic quality, this flare, should it be here, the ghosting, like all those beautiful characteristics that we love from anamorphic glass. It has to be a delicate balance in order for the autofocus to be reliable. And the autofocus capability opens up an entirely new shooting possibility, and possibilities that were previously impossible with traditional manual anamorphic lenses, such as, run and gun documentary work and single operator gimbal shots, or even, what I'm doing right now, talking head. The face and eye detection features, while not perfect, show an enormous potential for future refinement. Now, while I do believe that the autofocus really shines in situations like this, where the subject is perfectly lit, you have nice lit backgrounds, there's not a lot of unknown variables that could pop up. I did notice some inconsistencies when using this outdoors in different environments outside. It had issue with catching focus, and I didn't know if that was maybe attributed to of course the inconsistent lighting, the different backgrounds, moving subjects. At times it felt like I wasn't putting this lens in the ideal scenario for it to shine. But of course, if you're in run and gun situations, you might be leaning more towards using it in manual focus. But if you have, setup shots and you're able to, of course, light your subjects outdoors, then you can really pull off a really cool cinematic look. And with that being said, I of course have my reservations about how reliable this autofocus will be in every situation, especially for run and gun scenarios. But what's particularly exciting about this lens is the fact that it has that firmware upgradable nature, and where Sirui has included a USB-C port on this with the hopes of pushing several updates to this lens and improving autofocus performance. And hopefully we can expect that continued refinement. And while this autofocus capability is groundbreaking and shows promise, I can't honestly recommend this lens if autofocus is your primary consideration. Current performance is just too unreliable in my opinion. However, with continued firmware updates, this could change significantly over time. And this makes the lens not just a current tool, but an investment in future capabilities. The technology demonstrated in this lens paves the way for future autofocus anamorphic lenses, potentially leading to entire sets of matched focal lengths with similar capabilities. They've already launched actually the 20mm autofocus anamorphic lens as well. So I'm thinking that this is going to be something that they're going to continue to support and build out, and hopefully we'll have a whole set of autofocus anamorphic lenses with similar color and match capabilities. This honestly could revolutionize independent filmmaking. We're constantly seeing year over year things that were traditionally tens of thousands of dollars being brought down to the independent creator. This is the perfect time to be a creator and to be a filmmaker and a cinematographer, or whatever you want to call yourself. If you create images with cameras, this is the perfect time to exist, because the barrier of entry is being lowered every single year. And I'm extremely excited for the potential of this product and what it'll inspire in competitors. Hopefully Blazar improves their lens and adds more lenses to their lineup. Maybe we'll see some more autofocus anamorphic lenses from traditional anamorphic lens makers that have perfected the anamorphic lens, but now let's add the autofocus capability to it as well. At $799, of course, it's not inexpensive. It's still an investment. It represents a remarkable value though when compared to the traditional anamorphic lenses that cost, like I said, many times more. I'm happy with it. I think it provides a cool cinematic anamorphic look, and for this being my first experience with anamorphic, I'm really satisfied. I mean, I tried anamorphic adapters like the Anamorphic for the SLR Magic Micro Primes, and it was huge, clunky, hard to focus with. The fact that this is as light as it is, has the build quality that it does, and it offers autofocus is amazing. I'm definitely going to add this to my toolkit on upcoming projects and really seeing how I can put it in different scenarios. Maybe I'll give you an updated video, months down the line after I've used it on a couple projects and let you know what I think about it. But let me know down below if you are interested in that content. If you like this video, you want to see many more like it, feel free to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share, all the good stuff. I want to hear from you guys. This isn't a one-way street. Let me know what you guys honestly think about this lens. Would you get something like this? Do you create videos? Are you into this stuff? I'd assume you are if you're watching this video, if you made it to this far into the video. But it's been a pleasure as usual. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, stay fresh. Peace.